husband and his mistress died together in a car accident. Not a single penny was left for his wife. She was even left to raise his illegitimate child. She felt like dying. They had only been married for a month. No money to gain. And now an extra burden to carry. Shen Bai, of course, refused. Just as she was about to sneak away, a system's voice suddenly rang in her ears. Congratulations, host, for successfully binding to the burden to benefit system. From now on, every penny you spend on Gu Jiaodong will grant you a 10x cashback. Shen Bai was instantly thrilled. With a flattering smile, she walked up to Gu Jiaodong. Come on, son. Let's go eat noodles. Gu Jiaodong's lips twitched. What was wrong with this stepmother? She suddenly decided not to abandon him. 10 minutes later, at the noodle shop. After Shen Bai scanned the code and paid, the system's voice echoed in her mind again. Congratulations, host. You spent 15 yuans on the mission target. Reward, 150 yuans cashback. Shen Bai quickly checked her account. Sure enough, her balance had increased by 150 yuans. Her eyes instantly lit up. It was real. So Gu Jiaodong had become her money-making god? She stared at her stepson with gleaming eyes, as if she wanted to devour him whole. Gu Jiaodong thought his stepmother was just in a rare, generous mood, planning to feed him before leaving. But little did he know, after finishing the noodles, Shen Bai enthusiastically dragged him along to look for a house. Soon, he took a liking to a small, modest home. After transferring the rent and deposit, ding, congratulations, host. You've spent 6,000 yuans for the mission target. Cashback bonus, 60,000 yuans. Shen Bai checked the incoming deposit and grinned so wide his eyes nearly disappeared. Beside him, Gu Jiaodong finished inspecting the tiny, old house and gave him a complicated look. He knew Shen Bai could easily rent a much better place if he just left him behind. But Shen Bai misunderstood, thinking Gu Jiaodong, accustomed to luxury, was disdainful of the small space. So he reassured him, don't worry, this place isn't meant for you to live in. Then he pulled open the window. See? It's only 500 meters from northern Myanmar High School. You'll just come back here to rest on weekends. On weekdays, you'll stay at school. You plan to keep me enrolled at northern Myanmar? Gu Jiaodong fell silent for a moment. Northern Myanmar's tuition is 180,000 a month, plus 30,000 for meals, and 50,000 for boarding. I know Shen Bai signed a prenup with my dad. He didn't get a single cent. And when my uncle kicked me out, I didn't get anything either. I can afford this much. With the cashback system, Shen Bai boasted without hesitation. Gu Jiaodong's gaze grew even more inscrutable. Even though Shen Bai was just dad's secretary before, a salary that can save up to hundreds of thousands. But he's only in his first year of high school right now. That little money isn't nearly enough to spend. Thinking of this, Gu Jiaodong couldn't help but remind Shen, my dad is most likely really dead. Don't hold on to any illusions, thinking he'll come back. No matter how much you do for me, no one will appreciate you for it. Shen Bai froze for a moment. Then, with a serious expression, he explained to Gu Jiaodong, I know your dad is dead. I'm good to you. Not because I want your dad's gratitude. He just took out his phone, pulled up photos of himself at the orphanage. See? I'm an orphan. So you and your dad gave me a home. I treasure it. Gu Jiaodong, whether you admit it or not, I'm your mom now, and you're my only family. After saying this, he hugged Gu Jiaodong tightly. This was his genuine feeling. When he saw Gu Jiaodong, who had also been kicked out by the Gu family, he inexplicably felt the boy was so lonely. At that moment, he really wanted to hug her. Hearing this, Gu Jiaodong was stunned for a long time. He hadn't wanted to become Shen Bai's burden. But after learning the reason, she softened her heart, and let him stay. Gu Jiaodong suddenly couldn't bring himself to refuse her kindness. At the same time, he secretly made up his mind. These 3 years of high school, he had to do, well, study hard and get into a good university. He wouldn't always be Shen Bai's burden. He would work hard to earn money, repay Shen Bai in the future. After calming down the usually rebellious teenager, Shen Bai finally let out a sigh of relief. On top of that, so much had happened today. Both of them were utterly exhausted. Only after returning to their respective rooms to rest did Shen Bai finally have time to play on his phone. Unable to contain his excitement, he opened a shopping app. First, he bought some clothes and shoes for Gu Jiaodong. Then, remembering the boy's cleanliness obsession, he also purchased new bedsheets and duvet covers. In just a few short minutes, the system rewarded him with another 30,000 yuans in rebates. Watching the money roll in continuously, Shen Bai felt incredibly blissful. What a perfect way for a slacker to earn money. He had to cling tightly to Gu Jiaodong, this god of wealth, and never let him go. Thinking this, Shen Bai opened a food delivery app, found the restaurant Gu Jiaodong loved, and quickly placed an order. By the time Gu Jiaodong finished showering and stepped out, he was met with a table full of food. The boy was stunned. Every dish was from his favorite restaurant. But the food there wasn't cheap. Even a glass of plain water cost 58 yuans, let alone the other dishes. And this entire table looked like it would cost at least several thousand. Suppressing the bitterness rising in his chest, Gu Jiaodong spoke hoarsely, "You don't have to get me such expensive things. I didn't grow up in the Gu family. I can eat ordinary food just fine. You don't have to spend so much money on me." "That won't do." Shen Bai widened her eyes. This was his money-making plan, after all. To earn money. He couldn't afford to save. To stop Gu Jiaodong from overthinking, Shen Bai told a white lie. "Jiaodong, don't worry. I'm not short on money. Your dad actually left me some. You're at the age where you're growing. Eat more." Yet he didn't know. Gu Jiaodong was actually aware that his dad never sent Shen Bai any money. In fact, his dad had intended to. Before leaving for his business trip, he specifically left Shen Bai a check for 1 million. At the time, Shen Bai was still asleep. Gu Jiaodong, out of spite, tore up the check right then. Looking back, Gu Jiaodong was filled with regret. Why had he been so blind back then? To think Shen Bai was just like those other women. Only after money, getting close to him and his dad. Who would have thought? Shen Bai wasn't materialistic at all. She married his dad just to have a family. And now, to put his mind at ease over a meal, Shen Bai even fabricated a white lie. Lying to him, Gu Jiaodong silently sat down, took a bite of the familiar dragon fruit fried rice. The tears he'd been holding back instantly fell. "Oh, you silly kid. Why are you crying?" Shen Bai panicked. Flustered, she stepped forward and patted his shoulder. Yet, the deeply moved Gu Xiaodong suddenly hugged him, shouting "Mom" at the top of his lungs. Shen Bai instantly got goosebumps. This was the first time Gu Jiaodong had called her mom. It meant he had finally accepted her. But the problem was, she was only 30 this year. She really didn't want to be called mom by a 14-year-old boy. Yet, seeing the usually proud Gu Jiaodong crying like a child in front of her, Shen Bai's heart softened instantly. She clumsily patted his head. "The food's gonna get cold if we don't eat soon." Only then did Gu Jiaodong let go of her, wiped his tears, and was about to dig in seriously when the doorbell rang. "Is this Gu Jiaodong's residence? Your ordered mattress has arrived." Gu Jiaodong froze. He hadn't bought anything. Shen Bai quickly went to open the door. "It's good that I bought them. Just move them over here." Then the doorbell rang repeatedly, many times in a row. Soon, the small room was filled with new furniture and daily necessities. Gu Jiaodong leaned over to take a look. His eyes grew slightly warm again. That pile of items were all brands he was used to. All added up, bit by bit, it must have cost nearly 100,000. Though in the past, 100,000 was just a week's pocket money for him. But right now, he didn't have a single cent to his name. Shen Bai, who had no blood relation to him, and no obligation to care for his loneliness, had spent so much money on him. When he lay back on his own bed, Shen Bai was staring at the nearly 1 million newly added to his account, excited like a mouse that stole oil. My God. Thank you, system. Thank you, Gu Jiaodong. Money he would have had to work 10 years to earn in the past now took less than a few hours to make. Shen Bai's eyes sparkled. Not a hint of sleepiness. Holding his phone, he continued scrolling through shopping apps, wanting to buy more things to decorate with. LV limited edition sneakers for the god of wealth. The latest smart robot. Hermes summer limited edition t-shirt. Shen Bai didn't even blink before placing the orders. 2 hours passed. He had spent over another million. Suddenly, Shen Bai let out an "Iya" and looked around, somewhat troubled. Oops, seems like I bought too much stuff. What if it doesn't fit? At first, he habitually saved money. And considering it's close to Gu Jiaodong's school, the place he rented is too small. There's simply not enough space for all the stuff. Then why not just buy a new place? Shen Bai felt like he was getting ahead of himself. His first thought was actually this. As if buying a house was no different from buying a pound of cabbage. But he couldn't go view properties in the middle of the night. Just as he was thinking this, his fingers scrolled down. And just like that, he stumbled upon a live stream for foreclosed properties. A massive villa. Right in the area. Only 20 million. Shen Bai's eyes widened. He was intrigued. His account happened to have exactly that amount of money. I'll take this foreclosed property. Not many people dare to bid on foreclosed properties anyway. And for the average person, this sum is still a hefty amount. In the end, Shen Bai actually won the bid. The next day, he woke up early and went with the scheduled lawyer to handle the property matters. Today was Monday. After finishing breakfast, Gu Jiaodong quickly changed into his school uniform and headed to class. Mianbei High School was an elite private school, and it was located far in the suburbs. The road was filled with luxury cars dropping kids off. Aside from Gu Jiaodong, no one else was walking. At that moment, his classmate Li Taiki sitting in a luxury car, boredly gazing out the window. The moment he spotted Gu Jiaodong, his eyes instantly lit up. He posted a photo in the group chat. Look, the school heartthrob is actually walking here. Soon, someone replied, Hey, have you all heard? Gu Jiaodong's dad died. He got kicked out of the house. He's not the rich young master he used to be anymore. Did his dad really leave him nothing? Apparently, Gu Jiaodong isn't even Chairman Gu's real son. Back then, they only adopted him out of pity, because his real parents died early. You guys actually thought he was some rich heir? Lol. In the past, he bullied me plenty just because he was the Gu family's young master. Let's see how he acts all high and mighty now. So when Gu Jiaodong arrived at the school gate, he was immediately stopped. Well, if it isn't the young master of the Gu family? Li Taiki pressed a baseball bat against his chest. Heard you got kicked out of the Gu family. Even walked here just now. T-esque. Shoes are all dirty. Want me to charitably give you a new pair, young master? Gu Jiaodong knew. Once the news of his expulsion from the Gu family spread, the people around him would inevitably change. So he didn't want to engage with them, continuing to walk past with an expressionless face. But Li Taiki blocked his path again. Move. Gu Jiaodong's gaze turned slightly cold. Just a stray dog kicked out of its home. And you still dare to act so arrogant? What? You really think you're still the rich young master from before? That everyone has to listen to you? Taiki sneered at Gu Jiaodong. Gu Jiaodong's face darkened. His fists clenched, tight to the point of trembling, but in the end, he held back. After all, Li Taiki wasn't wrong. Right now, he had no leverage left. Without his father's protection, he could no longer act as he once did, hitting whoever he pleased. And above all, he absolutely couldn't cause trouble for Shen Bai. Gu Jiaodong had always been hot-tempered, not one to be trifled with, and had never suppressed his young master's arrogance before. Yet now, he endured it all in silence. The girls nearby couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. After all, the Li family's influence was second only to Gu Jiaodong's in the past. They simply can't afford to offend anyone. Even the school beauty, who had long admired him, seemed hesitant to speak. In the end, she decided it was better to turn a blind eye. She simply walked straight into the classroom. Seeing this, Li Taiki grew even more smug. Gu Jiaodong, can you even afford the tuition fees for northern Myanmar now? Gu Jiaodong pressed his lower lip together and remained silent. He truly couldn't afford it. Today, he had come to say goodbye to everyone, and then transfer to an ordinary high school. But now, it seemed unnecessary. Those classmates who once flocked around him were now avoiding him. Then he didn't need to say goodbye either. He might as well go straight to complete the transfer procedures. Although Shen Bai had encouraged him to continue studying in northern Myanmar, Gu Jiaodong was well aware of his own financial situation and didn't want to spend any more of his money. Anyway, no matter where you study, for 4 consecutive years, with grades solidly holding the top spot in the grade, he could even get into the best university in the Gaokao. Gu Jiaodong said expressionlessly, "That's right. I can't afford it. So I'm here today to complete the transfer procedures. Can you move aside now?" The moment the words transfer came out, the people around were stunned. Then came a wave of understanding. Gu Jiaodong probably couldn't even afford meals now, let alone tuition fees. Hearing this, Li Taiki's mood instantly brightened. He actually stepped aside. "Gu Jiaodong, not bad. You've become much more sensible now. I really admire your ability to adapt to circumstances. Alright, then. After all, we were classmates once. If you kowtow to me, I'll pay your tuition for you, so you can stay in northern Myanmar. How about it?" The lackeys around them started egging him on. "Yeah, school hunk. Kowtow to our brother Ki, and he'll take you in as his underling. As long as you obediently follow Brother Ki from now on, you'll be living the high life." Gu Jiaodong acted as if he hadn't heard. His gaze turned even colder as he walked toward the academic office. But the more defiant he was, the more Li Taiki didn't want to let him go. He followed him. "Fine, no kowtow needed. Just beg me once, and I'll let you stay. How about it?" Right now, Li Taiki kind of wanted Gu Jiaodong to stay. Keeping him around to humiliate and torment was way more fun than driving him away. He followed Gu Jiaodong the whole way, until he finally pissed the boy off. "Li Taiki, are you begging me to be your boss or something? Otherwise, why are you chasing after me like a dog after its owner? Why the hell are you following me?" For a moment, Li Taiki seemed to see the old arrogant, sharp-tongued Gu Jiaodong again. The crowd around them burst into laughter. Furious and humiliated, he glared at Gu Jiaodong. "Gu Jiaodong, you're asking for death." He rushed forward to hit him, but Gu Jiaodong restrained him with just one hand. Then with a simple twist, Li Taiki held in pain. It hurts, let go." "Gu Jiaodong, how dare you treat me like this? Believe it or not, I'll kick you out of school, and make sure no other school accepts you. I'll leave you with no way out, forced to beg on the streets." Gu Jiaodong sneered dismissively. Just as he was about to retort, a familiar voice rang out. Who exactly are you planning to leave with no way out? It was Shen Bai. Gu Jiaodong's pupils constricted. He glanced guiltily at Shen Bai, looked down at his own actions. A wave of panic surged in his heart. What should he do? He didn't want Shen Bai to see his violent side. He had already decided. From now on, in front of Shen Bai, he would be a model student, a well-behaved son. If she saw him bullying a classmate like this, would she stop liking him? Just as he was growing uneasy, Shen Bai stepped forward with a cold laugh, narrowing her eyes as she scrutinized Li Taiki. You're the youngest son of the Li family, aren't you? Li Taiki's eyes lit up at the sight of her. You're Shen Bai, Gu Shenhuan's unlucky new wife. Not bad looking, though. Li Taiki raked his gaze over her face and figure, then said in a teasing tone, You're Gu Jiaodong's stepmother, right? Here to withdraw him from school today? Let's make a deal. If you make sure Gu Jiaodong obeys me from now on, I'll give you 100,000 a month for living expenses. How about it? The surrounding students immediately looked at Gu Jiaodong with pity. Every single one of them knew Gu Jiaodong and his stepmother didn't get along. Before, it might have been out of respect for President Gu. Shen Bai always pretended to be gentle and virtuous. Now that President Gu was gone, she would definitely try every possible way to torment Gu Jiaodong. So everyone looked at Gu Jiaodong with sympathy, imagining he was absolutely doomed. Yet the next second, Shen Bai's mocking laughter rang across the campus. 10. Oh, are you kidding me? 10 grand. Can't even buy one of my Jiaodong skateboards. Did your family go bankrupt? You're this poor, and still have the nerve to bark in front of me? Li Taiki was so furious he started cursing. You damn woman. Looking for death, huh? Before he could finish, Gu Jiaodong kicked him hard in the ass. Li Taiki let out a scream and rolled straight off the lawn. The onlookers were stunned. Gu Jiaodong, you're too impulsive. Aren't you afraid the Li family will retaliate? A classmate nearby couldn't help but warn him. Retaliate? Shen Bai laughed. He won't get the chance, because he's about to be expelled. Expelled? This woman dreaming? Shouldn't it be Gu Jiaodong getting expelled? After all, he just offended Li Taiki. The surrounding students buzzed with noisy discussions. But Shen Bai calmly stepped forward, patting Gu Jiaodong's shoulder. She said, Come on, let's go to the academic office. Gu Jiaodong, though unsure what's he up to, yet she still obediently followed by his side. As soon as they entered the academic affairs office, a teacher inside immediately addressed her as Madam Gu. You're here to handle Gu Jiaodong's transfer procedures, right? No, I'm here to pay Jiaodong's tuition. Shen Bai raised her chin, exuding the haughty demeanor of the wealthy. Also, I'd like to donate a teaching building to the school in Jiaodong's name. The staff in the office were instantly stunned. Madam Gu, what did you say? Shen Bai calmly pulled out a black gold card. I said I want to donate a teaching building in Jiaodong's name. Or do you not want it? Of course not. The academic affairs director's face instantly brimmed with obsequious smiles. Madam Gu, this way please, let's discuss the details inside. Zhao Liu, hurry and prepare tea. Shen Bai long anticipated that this elite high school would have its fair share of snobs. Luckily, she'd spent 20 million in advance to buy a foreclosed property. Watching the 200 million bonus hit her account, she immediately rushed to the school to back Gu Jiaodong up. She had to restore his dignity. Otherwise, someone as proud as him, forced to grow up too fast, might suffer too heavy a blow and spiral from arrogance straight into insecurity. That wouldn't do at all. Just as the academic affairs director was buzzing with excitement, the next second, the boy's resolute voice rang out. Mom, not attending this school anymore. The director and others immediately paled. Gu, do you realize what you're saying? The academic dean could barely contain his anger. Our Mianbei High School is the best in the entire capital. Countless people beg for the chance to attend, but are turned away. Gu Jiaodong, however, replied expressionlessly, "So I'm not worthy of it. I've said it before. Today, I'm here to transfer out. You agreed over the phone yesterday. Besides, I've already found a school that's willing to take me. They're not only waiving tuition, but also applying for scholarships on my behalf." Shen Baibai looked at him seriously and said, "Jiaodong, are you really sure about this? If I donate a building now, I can get Li Taiki, the one who bullied you, expelled. There's no need to expel him." Gu Jiaodong's gaze was steady. "Shen Baibai, if you don't waste it on a school like this. He's not worth it." Shen Baibai saw the resolve in the boy's eyes. He smiled and nodded. "Right, then. But this money is still going to be spent on you. Since you won't let me donate it to the school, I'll donate it to charity in your name instead." "What?" The academic dean and principal nearly bit their tongues. Just moments ago, they'd been suspicious, wondering if Shen Baibai and Gu Jiaodong were putting on an act. After all, everyone knew that after Chairman Gu's death, he hadn't left a single cent to this mother and son. Shen Baibai might have just been bluffing. Yet in the next second, he announced a donation without hesitation. He immediately started searching for reliable charities. Soon, he found one. "Let's go with this rural education support project. How about donating 200 million? Gu Jiaodong, this money is yours. Do you agree?" Gu Jiaodong thought Shen Baibai was just showing off, so he nodded right away. The academic director beside them finally couldn't hold back. All he saw was Shen Baibai's bank card. He sneered and said, "You two talk a big game. Donating 200 million? Stop pretending. If you want to transfer schools, just get it done. Did you really think we didn't know? Gu Sheniwan is dead. Both of you were kicked out long ago." Gu Jiaodong's face darkened, but he couldn't refute it. Shen Baibai, however, pulled him aside. "Fine. Let's get the paperwork done now." Seeing their reactions, the academic director became even more convinced they were bluffing earlier. And he had almost fallen for it. He'd even started worrying about how to get Li Taiki's parents to transfer him. Now, he just scoffed dismissively. Soon, the paperwork was completed. At the same time, Shen Baibai's donation successfully went through to the recipient's account. With a light chuckle, he took out his phone and showed it to the academic director and the principal. "Our Jiaodong is not just handsome, but also kind-hearted. Look, he just donated 200 million to an education project." The people on the other end were practically overwhelmed. Donated for real? Impossible. The principal and the academic director stared at the string of numbers behind the donation amount, questioning their own eyes. The principal hurriedly took out his phone. He searched for the official website of that charity organization. On the homepage, a thank you notice had just been posted. It clearly stated they had just received a donation of 200 million from student Gu Jiaodong and promised to use it where the children needed it most. The principal and the others were instantly stunned, followed by a pang of heartache. The academic dean was scolded bloody by the principal. "Why did you provoke him just now? He was about to donate to our school. That's 200 million. Meanwhile, Gu Jiaodong followed Shen Baibai as they walked out. He, too, was questioning life. Unable to hold back, he asked Shen Baibai, "Where did you get so much money?" Shen Baibai remained utterly calm, replying, "A while ago, a lawyer suddenly found me. Said the parents who lost me back then were actually overseas Chinese business people. Both of them passed away and left me a huge inheritance, so 200 million is nothing." It sounded absurd, but Gu Jiaodong believed it instantly, yet thinking that Shen Baibai had just inherited a fortune and immediately spent it on him. Gu Jiaodong couldn't help but say, "That's your money. You could use it to buy a nice house or a good car to enjoy life. Why spend it on me? Shen Bai Bai stood on tiptoe, ruffled Gu Jiaodong's hair, and said, "You're my son. If I don't spend my money on you, who else would I spend it on? Moreover, he now has 2 billion in his account. This way of making money is simply too damn good." Shen Bai Bai was in an excellent mood. He grabbed Gu Jiaodong and walked off. "Mom will take you to see the new house." The two had just stepped out of the school gate. Unexpectedly, they were blocked again by a luxury car. The car window rolled down, revealing the smug face of Li Taiki. He had heard that the teaching building wasn't actually donated, and that Gu Jiaodong had directly gone through the transfer procedures. Thinking these two were slinking away in defeat, he deliberately drove over to show off. "Yo, walking again? How pitiful, want me to give you a ride?" If people saw that our school still has students walking to and from school, it'd really embarrass me. Gu Jiaodong kept a stony face, pretending not to hear. Shen Bai Bai, however, smiled. "Who said we were walking?" With that, he walked toward a nearby car. The driver, standing by the car, respectfully handed over the keys, then considerately opened the door for him. Li Taiki's pupils instantly trembled in shock. It was a globally limited edition Koenigsegg. Even Gu Jiaodong was stunned for a moment. The price of this car exceeded 100 million. Only 6 existed worldwide, and it was practically priceless. No one was willing to sell theirs. He never expected to see one here. Even less did he expect the keys to be in Shen Bai's hands. Li Taiki's face immediately turned green. "There are only 6 of these cars in the world. How could you possibly have one?" Gu Jiaodong also wanted to know the answer. After all, even for someone like him, "I've never owned such a luxurious car before." Shen Bai Bai smirked proudly. Right before donating the money, he had swiftly to buy this car from a recently fallen from grace tycoon, and had it delivered to the school gate. He was decisive enough. 120 million upfront, transferred in one go. Naturally, the seller arranged for immediate delivery. Faced with the two's shock, Shen Bai Bai smiled faintly. "Is there anything money can't buy?" Li Taiki's face turned, then purple. Unable to speak for a long while, glancing at his own car, worth a mere 2 million, he couldn't help but feel utterly shabby. After Gu Jiaodong got into the car, Shen Bai Bai deliberately drove up to Li Taiki and feigned concern as he reminded, "Oh right. Classmate Li, you're probably still underage, aren't you? Minors aren't allowed to drive, you know." Gu Jiaodong added coolly from the side. He got held back twice. "He's already an adult." Shen Bai Bai acted enlightened. "Oh, I see. Keep at it, classmate Li. Don't graduate later my Jiaodong here. Or else next time we meet, you'd have to call him senior." Li Taiki glared at Gu Jiaodong with murderous eyes. "I won't call him that." Shen Bai Bai looked at Gu Jiaodong proudly. After all, Jiaodong is destined for Tsinghua or Peking University. As for you, he deliberately gave Li Taiki a once-over with disdain. Li Taiki was so furious he nearly exploded. Before he could retort, Shen Bai Bai stepped on the accelerator, driving off in the luxury car. Li Taiki got a mouthful of dust. Furious, he slammed the accelerator. With a bang, he crashed into a tree. Instantly dizzy and disoriented, inside the car, Gu Jiaodong stared at Shen Bai Bai. Where did this car come from? Shen Bai Bai was completely calm. "A birthday gift from your dad for your 18th. He had already prepared an excuse. "This was the surprise he asked me to prepare for you. Only I knew where it was. Your second uncle and the others didn't know. Didn't we need a car? So I took it out early to drive." Shen Bai Bai had been his dad's secretary for 10 years. In the past, these things were indeed handled by him, and with no one left to contradict. So, without hesitation, he pinned the unreasonable parts on Gu Sheniwan. Gu Jiaodong pressed his lips together and stayed silent. He knew his dad That man might be the richest in the capital. But every year, his birthday gifts were study materials. Though he gave him 100,000 in pocket money monthly, that was only after learning he donated 90,000 to orphanages. Someone like his dad would never spend 100 million to buy him a car. Gu Jiaodong suddenly felt. This stepmother he once looked down on held many secrets. Why was she so good to him? Was it love me, love my dog? Gu Jiaodong suddenly asked, do you really love my dad that much? Shen Baibai froze. What does this have to do with Gu Sheniwan? Nothing. Gu Jiaodong already had the answer in his heart. Shen Baibai is so wealthy. Yet he's been hiding by his father's side all this time, working as a mere secretary. And he's been doing it for a full 10 years. 10 years his youth is gone. And now that his father is dead, Shen Bai still can't let go of his unruly stepson, doing so much for him, spending so much money. If this isn't being hopelessly in love with his father, then what is? When his father died, Shen Baibai must have been devastated. Even though he looked completely unaffected, not even shedding a single tear, when he heard the news of his father's death. But Gu Jiaodong knew. Shen Baibai was numb with grief. So in this world, apart from him, Shen Baibai was the one who loved his father the most. After losing his father, he would absolutely treat Shen Baibai as his own mother, making up for what he and his father owed him. Seeing that Gu Jiaodong didn't press further, Shen Baibai let out a sigh of relief, thinking Gu Jiaodong had bought his lies. Oh, by the way, I bought you a house right next to Qingchen High School, where you're transferring. It'll be more convenient for you to get to school from there. Gu Jiaodong nodded. After entering the neighborhood, Shen Baibai was stunned. The villa was even more luxurious than it looked in the livestream. Once inside, he was utterly dazzled. This 3-story villa has over a dozen rooms. There is also a dedicatejem and swimming pool. The previous owner was already a wealthy person. The interior was lavishly decorated. If it weren't for the remote location and the fact that it was a foreclosed property, he would never have been able to buy it at this price. Even Gu Jiaodong, who was accustomed to living in mansions, felt a flicker of surprise the moment he saw the house. But he didn't ask again where the house came from. Soon, the doorbell rang. Shen Baibai opened the door with great excitement, letting the deliveryman bring in the items he had ordered. Furniture, appliances, daily necessities, branded shoes, and bags. In an instant, over a dozen workers filled every corner of the house. Shen Baibai leaned back on the soft sofa, utterly content. After all, he had money now. Might as well spend it freely. However, his behavior came across to Gu Jiaodong as he had long been accustomed to this kind of life. Casually buying a villa. So many staff members providing dedicated door-to-door service. Respectfully taking care of the house for him. Even cleaning up before leaving. Shen Baibai's background definitely isn't what his records show. That he came from an orphanage, with kind of background, yet willingly stayed by his father's side for 10 years. As a mere secretary, Gu Jiaodong nodded heavily. He must really love me, huh? The next morning, mother and son went together to Qingchen High School to complete the transfer procedures. Then the homeroom teacher led them to Class 12 of Grade 10. Class 12 is an elite class at Qingchen High School. Every student in it has won first prize in national competitions, and their grades all rank within the top 30 of the grade. As soon as Gu Jiaodong transferentials, he was assigned to Class 12. The classmates were all quite curious. The transfer student will be here soon. We should teach him a lesson. Class monitor Chen Zishu started spreading rumors about Gu Jiaodong's past. I heard he's from that neighboring northern Myanmar high school. Do you all remember? During the spring trip earlier this year, the students from northern Myanmar high school were arrogant and looked down on us. That's right, just because they're from a private high school. Their families are rich, so they bully others with their status. They even tried to harass our study committee member. Just as he was speaking, the homeroom teacher brought Gu Jiaodong in. As soon as the teacher left, Chen Zishu started mocking. You know what? Gu Jiaodong was kicked out by his wealthy family. He's broke now. Naturally, they could only commando a commoner's school like ours. Chen Zishu had a friend studying in northern Myanmar. It was easy to find out about Gu Jiaodong's past. Hearing this, a few classmates also joined in. They began to mock Gu Jiaodong shamelessly. But the class representative, Lin Tianxian, couldn't stand these words. During a spring outing before, it was her who had been harassed by students from northern Myanmar. But Gu Jiaodong had stepped forward then and defended her. Ever since that day, she had secretly fallen for this tall boy. Now, she suddenly stood up and said, Teacher Chen is about to return. Keep making noise, and you'll be punished with cleaning the toilets after school. Teacher Chen was their homeroom teacher, and he was very strict with them. Cleaning the toilets was his go-to punishment. Hearing this, everyone immediately wore bitter expressions. No one dared to say anything more. Only Chen Zishu looked somewhat displeased. Lin Tianxian's gaze at Gu Jiaodong. Why was it so cautious? Even carrying a hint of lingering affection. Chen Zishu instantly burned with jealousy. He glared fiercely at Gu Jiaodong, though he wouldn't resort to violence. As the class monitor, he had plenty of time and methods to torment Gu Jiaodong. Soon, the opportunity came. During break time, he deliberately had someone bring in 2 crates of water. Everyone gets 1 bottle each, all right? When distributing the water, they intentionally skipped Gu Jiaodong. Sorry about that. Jiaodong. The water was ordered yesterday. We didn't know you'd be here today. Guess you'll have to buy your own water. Gu Jiaodong got up and left as if he hadn't heard. Lin Tianxian immediately grew upset. Chen Zishu, what are you doing? Gu Jiaodong is part of our class too. Aren't there still a few bottles left? There are leftovers. But he didn't pay the class fee. This water was bought with everyone's money. Why should he get any? Exactly, Shuji is right. As they were talking, Gu Jiaodong returned empty-handed. I thought he went to the store to buy water. Turns out he didn't. Guess he's really so poor he can't even afford a bottle of water. More than that, I just asked around with people from Myanmar High. Heard his dad died. This adopted son with no blood relation, was directly kicked out. Not only did he get a single cent, but he could only follow his stepmother, living in a $2,000 apartment. Before this, I lived in a mansion. Now, I can only afford a $2,000 a month place. Seems like he's really broke now. Rare to see a fallen rich second generation like this. His classmates in Qingchen couldn't help but feel a bit of schadenfreude. As the class monitor, Chen Zishu had just been called by the principal. Upon returning, he mockingly tossed a campus card onto Gu Jiaodong's desk. He deliberately said loudly, "Take it, Gu Jiaodong. This is the campus card the principal told me to give you." The principal said, "Your tuition and fees are waived. And this card will be topped up with a $200 subsidy every month, so you can eat at the cafeteria without worry." Gu Jiaodong's face darkened, but he didn't take it. No campus card, huh? Can't even afford food now. Tsk, isn't this for the ultra-needy? To think he's sunk this low. How pitiful, the golden boy. Fallen from grace overnight. Gu Jiaodong listened to these words, his gaze turning colder. But he still didn't say a word. This scene had long been within his expectations. He had already braced himself mentally. In fact, if not for Shen Bai, he probably wouldn't even be able to afford water. Truly, I can only rely on the school's 200 yuan monthly subsidy to eat. These people are just telling the truth. His gaze was calm. He didn't want to trouble Shen Bai over such a trivial matter. This indifferent attitude only made Chen Zishu and the even more displeased. Chen Zishu impatiently knocked on his desk. By the way, our class fee is paid monthly. 100 yuan a month. Today's the 11th. You can pay now. With that, he crossed his arms, wearing a mocking smile as he looked at Gu Jiaodong, wanting to humiliate him. Gu Jiaodong still didn't speak. He didn't even bother to acknowledge him. Chen Zishu, can't even afford 100 yuans now? If you can't pay, just say so. Our classmates are all very charitable. If you can't afford it, we can waive it for you. Or I can give you a discount. Halfway through his words, a voice suddenly came from the window. Gu Jiaodong, Shen Bai Bai. Gu Jiaodong's heart stirred. He immediately walked over to the corridor, his gaze softening as he looked at Shen Bai Bai's mother. Why are you here? Shen Bai Bai glanced at the nosy classmates peering out, eternally scoffing. He had thought that after leaving northern Myanmar and coming to an ordinary school, these students would be quite innocent. Gu Jiaodong shouldn't have faced any bullying. But after standing by the window for a while, he realized the boy had been constantly mocked and provoked by his classmates. Yet he didn't even resist. Looks like defeated by reality. Finally behaved well. Sam Bok Bok was a bit angry. He would rather Guxiadong didn't give a damn. Teach disrespectful Popol a lesson. Nor would I want him to swallow his anger and feel wrong. To vent his anger for him, Shen Bai Bai then called Gu Jiaodong out. With a smile, he said, I just remembered. I forgot to give you your allowance this month. Since you're not allowed to use your phone at school, I'll just give you cash directly. His voice wasn't loud, but the whole class turned to look. Chen Zishu sneered a little. Kicked out of the house and bankrupt. Gu Jiaodong's mom probably can only give him a few hundred. Maybe even less. The class thought the same. So, under everyone's gaze, Shen Bai Bai pulled out a thick stack of bills from his bag. The money was neatly bundled, clearly freshly withdrawn from the bank. This is 10,000. Someone in the class exclaimed in surprise. Chen Zishu was also stunned. He hadn't expected Gu Jiaodong, who had been kicked out of the Gu family, to still have so much pocket money. Chen Zishu felt a bit irritated. It's just 10,000. I have that too, but the next second, his words got stuck in his throat. Because after Shen Bai Bai took out one stack, she kept digging in her bag. 2 stacks, 3 stacks, 4 stacks, 10 stacks in total. The classmates were shocked. He gets 100,000 a month in pocket money. That's way too much. Is this how students from northern Myanmar live? Someone muttered under their breath. Chen Zishu grew furious with humiliation and glared at the two who spoke. In their eyes, he caught sight of Lin Tianxian. Contrary to his expectations, Lin Tianxian, seeing how rich Gu Jiaodong was, didn't become more interested in him. Instead, a hint of insecurity flashed in her eyes. Lin Tianxian bit her lower lip and looked away. Chen Zishu raised an eyebrow, feeling slightly better inside. No matter how complex the emotions of the classmates were, Gu Jiaodong couldn't care less. His focus was solely on Shen Bai Bai in front of him. What am I supposed to do with all this money? I can't even spend it all. He was telling the truth. Back when he studied in northern Myanmar, he hardly spent money either. As soon as school ended, Gu Sheniwan would pile on a mountain of lessons for him. He simply had no opportunity to spend money. In truth, he desired very little. And those things couldn't be bought with money. Gu Jiaodong took out a few bills from the stack. He said, take the money back. I'll just keep a few hundred. But Shen Bai Bai shoved all the money into his hands without letting him refuse. Take it, use it to pay the class fund. Then treat everyone to drinks. After school, the driver pick you up. If you want to hang out with everyone before going home, just give me a call. Gu Jiaodong was about to refuse when their homeroom teacher, Mr. Chen, approached. Shen Bai Bai greeted the teacher, then added, oh right, Mr. Chen. I just took a look at your school's desks and chairs. Some are quite old. I'll donate some money to replace all of them with new ones. Mr. Chen's eyes widened instantly. All new ones? Their school had a full 5,000 students. That meant at least 5,000 sets of desks and chairs. Yet Chen Baibai spoke of replacing them as if it were nothing. Weren't they supposedly kicked out by the Gu family? How was his stepmother still this wealthy? Shen Baibai nodded. Replace them all. Also, your lab building isn't up to standard. The labs are way too small. How is my Jiaodong supposed to work in there? Here's what I'll do, I'll donate some money. First, upgrade all the equipment inside to the latest models. Then, during the holidays, I'll donate a brand new lab building. Mr. Chen was left completely speechless. Gu Jiaodong's mom. This matter is not something I can decide. How about you come with me to the principal's office first? Shen Baibai nodded. He then turned to Gu Jiaodong and said, go make more friends. Gu Jiaodong nodded hesitantly, as if wanting to say something but holding back. You can tell. Shen Baibai said they went to donate money. Clearly, it was to help him adjust to the new school. Live a better life. But changing so many things. We also need to build another building. How much money is this going to cost? Just this little while. The classmates gestured towards Gu Jiaodong. It's completely different now. I'm going to Theric guy's place. So damn rich. Great. I've been wanting to replace this set of desk and chair for a long time. Too old, covered in graffiti all over. Black Gu Jiaodong. So your family is actually this rich, huh? Why didn't you say so earlier? Seeing quite a few classmates gathering around Gu Jiaodong, Chen Zishu sat down in a foul mood. What are you doing? What are you doing? No need to go to class anymore, but attention to him now. After school, many classmates rushed to strike up a conversation with Gu Jiaodong. Gu Jiaodong originally didn't want to bother with them. But the thought of Shen Beibei's words urging him to make more friends, Gu Jiaodong just started to propose. I'll treat everyone to a meal. Go to Juxianglu for a meal. At first, everyone was still a bit shy. But Juxianglu is very upscale. The dishes indeed expensive though, but very delicious. In the end, everyone raised their hands eagerly vying to go. And Chen Zishu originally didn't want to go, but his little brother grabbed his squad leader. If I don't go, it's a waste. He's rich, isn't he? Let's go over there and rip off that little bastard. Good. Chen Zishu thought it made sense and followed along, but who would have thought that as soon as they arrived at the restaurant, I ran into people from Mianbei High School inside. Jiang Deshui immediately in his tracks. Oh, isn't this the school heartthrob Gu Jiaodong? I heard you were kicked out by the Gu family, living in a place with a monthly rent of 2,000 already. Hey, that's not right. Why don't you treat me like a brother? If you had just told me, maybe the house nearby can still let you stay for a few more days. He saw Gu Jiaodong at first glance. He excitedly taunted. Chen Zishu and the others looked at the two of them in confusion. Isn't Gu Jiaodong both the school heartthrob and the school bully of Mianbei High School? Why are the people at their school? It seems no one likes Gu Jiaodong. The new classmates is filled with surprise. Gu Jiaodong could see it clearly. But he remained extra melicum and didn't say a word. I'm not used to living in anything less than a 2,000 square foot place like yours. Jiang Deshui burst out laughing. Aren't you currently living in a place that costs 2,000 a month in rent? I heard it's less than 50 square meters. Gu Jiaodong, your dad's already dead. You were kicked out of the house. Still dare to act tough in front of me? Apart from Chen Zishu knowing, the classmates around had just heard about these tragic incidents. Everyone showed sympathetic expressions. They all looked at Gu Jiaodong. Jiaodong, how about we go eat somewhere else? Someone couldn't help but speak up. They used status like Gu Jiaodong. But that's because, thought. He is one of those rich second-generation kids at Myanbai High School who bully others by flaunting their power. After a brief encounter, they found that Gu Jiaodong had a pretty good personality. I also think he probably doesn't have much money right now. Don't try to squeeze more money out of him. Gu Jiaodong pursed his lips and replied, okay. Turning around, I was about to leave. I was stopped by Zhang Deshui again. If you can't afford it, just say you can't afford it. Stop pretending. Security guards, make Sureu see clearly next time. Besides wearing the cotton northern school uniform, students from other schools are not allowed in, especially these ordinary students from Siren High. Letting them in will ruin the vibe here. As soon as Zhang Deshui said this, the people from Kyoto Middle School immediately stopped in their tracks. With a grim expression, he looked at him. But despite everyone's anger, but unable to refute what Zhang Deshui said was the truth. Although Qingshan High School ISO has wealthy students, but they can't be like the students at Northern Myanmar Middle School either. The monthly allowances tens of thousands, especially this Juxianglu. Per person, it's gonna be 1,000 bucks. We usually can't afford to eat it at all. Even Chen Zishu's face turned cold. The fists are clenched tightly. However, everyone washelpless against Zhang Deshui. If you get into a conflict with the people from Northern Myanmar High School, unfortunately it was them. What if the parents on both sides shave business dealings with each other? That would also affect the parents' careers. Seeing this, Zhang Deshui became even more smug. When Gu Jiaodong guys to bully him. How utterly arrogant. And now, still just a stray dog heckest out of the restaurant. Little did they know that Chen Zishu and his group were about to leave. Gu Jiaodong's voice suddenly rang out, no need to leave.